this may be the easiest holiday decorating I've done, and yet it might be my favorite. I have a plate rack here in my breakfast room. It's just off of the kitchen by the fireplace. And I had this plate rack built. It was a custom build about 30 years ago when we moved into this house. I wanted it to be narrow because these old houses have very tight spaces. And this seemed to be just the perfect scale. So we custom designed it, and I think it looks just beautiful here. And then we stained it to kind of go with the woodwork that I have. So this is an assemblage of china that came from my mother-in-law. I keep it here year-round, and yes, we really do use it. And I am sure somebody is going to ask me what it is. And it is Devonshire by Johnson Brothers in England. And I just love it, and I think it really matches all of the different colors in my house. I use it a lot on Thanksgiving, and then I'll use it periodically when we dine here, just my husband and I at the table. The thing is, I have to be very careful. All of these they do have to be hand washed, so I probably don't use them as much as I would for other reasons, or large scale entertaining. So as you can see, it's just basically a true gardener's decor. I basically just cut lots of clippings from the garden evergreen, mostly arbor vitae and some yew. And I like the variation in the intensity of the green. One is a much deeper forest green, the other is a lighter, what I think of as a boxwood green. And I've just basically tucked them in and amongst the dishes. Now, I was telling Stuart that years ago I would actually take all of this china out and I would put in my Christmas spode and have it all decorated for the holidays. And then I realized that that was way too much trouble, and I actually like this a lot better, and I don't have to switch things out. So again, I've just tucked in greenery, and then I have some prized possessions here, and let me point them out to you. So my friend Deborah went to Scandinavia last year, and she brought me back these beautiful Christmas trees, wooden Christmas trees from Sweden. I believe she got them in Sweden, maybe in Denmark. Then coincidentally, my friend Kristen at Garden Gate Magazine, some of you are familiar with this because I did a swipe up to them on my Instagram feed. The woodworkers there that are associated with the magazine made these hand-turned Christmas ornaments that are so reminiscent of the ones I already had. And there were a number of different sizes. Look, there's even a topiary one. And I think they're absolutely adorable. They are one of my new favorite thing. And I think probably the only new Christmas ornaments I have this year. I am getting rid of a lot more Christmas decor items than I am buying right now. I also have, because I have to have a topiary just about everywhere, I have these darling little pinecone topiaries. I did not make these. I actually bought these like this years ago, but they're just tiny pine cones. They could easily be handcrafted. And these are just tiny pine cones that are hot glued to an oasis form and a dry oasis form. I've got a Christmas tree form in this glass vase and one over here, and I just tucked some greenery in. Now, these other columnar candle holders are glass, and you might say, oh, but you can't really burn the candles in there. No, I can't, but that doesn't bother me. I've got them in here because I can just easily then pick them up from here, because everything in my house is to be used, and I can take these outside. I use these a lot on my outdoor dining table. If I wanted to, if I'm having a holiday party or something and I do want these to be illuminated, then I'll use a battery operated candle like the one above, and I can put those in. And by the way, those you can get off of Amazon. I'll try to put a link below, but I really like the ones that are operated by remote control. They are especially convenient. I also have some taper candle holders here. These came from an antique store and were gifted to me. These do have real candles in them. And then I have a candle snuffer that belonged to my mom that gets used quite a bit. Stuart can attest to that, can't you, Stuart? And then just salt and pepper. Now, what I like about this is that all of these things I can just literally grab and use them on my breakfast table. So I've got the breakfast table set and kind of decorated for Christmas. So then all I have to do is just take these tapers from the plate rack, put them on the table. I can then light them. And it makes this whole area just really, really festive. And I like little bits of greenery tucked around the top of the candlestick too. That's a real easy way to decorate. I always like to use edibles in kind of really my centerpieces and as part of my holiday decorating. And Hubs last week, he went fishing and he came across a pecan farm and he brought me back all sorts of pecans. I love the look. It really reminds me of growing up. We always had a wooden nut bowl that had shelled nuts in them where you just basically crack the shell yourself. And I've got a little replica here of a sugar holder. This actually was one of the few things I had that belonged to my first mom, so it's kind of prized to me. And it's here, so you can put the shells in here, and then I can recycle these out in the garden. And then I've just tucked in some pine cones. Some of you have asked me, well, what do you do when the citrus fruit, the oranges and the clementines, when they start getting past their prime? Well, this is what I do with them. I slowly dry them in the oven at about 100 to 150 degrees, and I just keep them in there until they get this glassine look. I put them on parchment paper, and as soon as they get this, it looks like stained glass to me. I think it's really just beautiful. And you can also put some raffia or some gold thread through this and use them on your Christmas tree, like my friend Brian Branton. But they can also just be tucked into these bowls. So this is just all, it's all edibles. It is, again, something that is, I think, really elegant in its simplicity, but is used. And when it's finished, when it's done, again, no trekking down into the basement. All I have to do is either put what remains either into my tummy or into the compost pile, or I can even put it outside for the birds. And then all of the greenery just also gets relegated to the compost pile. So I like things that are easy to put together, that speak the same language. So if you watched my previous video where I decorated the mantle with lots of citrus and oranges and paper whites and such, you'll realize that this is just a Clementine's throw away from the fireplace. And so it all speaks the same language and is very consistent throughout this space. So nothing could be easier. It's my favorite way to decorate for the holidays. And I usually don't do this till, about a week to a week and a half out from Christmas so that all of this stays fresh. I think you guys ought to try it. It's definitely a gardener's way to decorate for the holidays.